The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, SpaceX to resume landing in the Bahamas tomorrow. Well, the news isn't sitting so well with environmentalists, though. Tonight, the Director of Environmental Planning and Protection joins me. Also tonight, the PLP victimizing the FNM's MyCal candidate? Well, the Free National Movement leader, Michael Pindot, says they are. We hear more tonight. And the 2026 election campaign is officially underway. Last night, the PLP launched its re-election bid with a report to the nation. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Bahamian environmental advocates are raising fresh concerns tonight as government confirms the resumption of SpaceX Falcon 9 landings in Bahamian waters less than a year after it failed. Linton Ritchie Jr. has the story, and then we come back with more.
Bahamian environmentalists expressing disappointment with government after it was announced on Monday evening that the SpaceX Falcon 9 landings will resume on Wednesday, less than a year after a SpaceX Starship exploded, sending fiery debris raining down in Bahamian waters. Environmentalists Debbie Deal and Joe Darville expressing to Eyewitness News that the explosion in March 2025 should have served as a warning to Bahamian officials.
You don't get house insurance or life insurance because nothing is going to happen. You never know when something is going to happen.
They're using us, they're abusing us, and our willingness.
In a statement released by the Civil Aviation Authority, it was revealed that following all requisite regulatory and environmental reviews and clearances, relevant regulatory agencies have, quote, approved the planned landing of a Falcon 9 vehicle operated by SpaceX in the Exuma Sound. The landing, which is scheduled between 5 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., will happen on the one-year mark that SpaceX initially had its first successful landing in Bahamian waters. Deal accusing the Davis administration of heavily campaigning on climate change, but she emphasized that moving forward with SpaceX sends the wrong message.
Absolutely absurd that we would do that and contradict ourselves, signing these treaties and to save the Bahamas, and then we're going to turn around and do something silly like this.
Darville says with the looming controversy surrounding SpaceX landing its Falcon 9 in the Bahamas, he has one question for officials.
Why they cannot do it over the United States of America? My estimate is that they haven't had permission to dump anything in their own territory.
However, research has shown successful landings of Falcon 9s on drone ships spread across the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. As, quote, sonic boom sounds are expected to be heard across the country, which will signify a successful landing on Wednesday night, Darville and Deal says to them, it's no sound of celebration.
We're not God Almighty. The potential is there at a certain degree.
We can't do a flip-flop, but we either are standing up for the Bahamas, make sure that the country is still here in 100 years.
CCAB officials say close collaboration with the appropriate authorities will continue to ensure all activities are carried out safely and in full compliance. Linton Ritchie Jr., Eyewitness News.
Well, this evening, I'll tell you, they certainly sound very convincing. Mayday, 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 the environmentalists are saying. Mayday, well...
A couple of dollars.
Oh, they'll go quiet?
Give them a couple of dollars, they'll be in that damn spaceship quicker than you and me.
I am going to, don't mind that voice,
Flourish.
we'll get to that voice in a moment, but I am going to bring in right now the Director of the Department of Environmental Protection, Planning and Protection, Dr. Rihanna Neely. Good evening to you, Dr. Neely. Thank you very much for joining me here on Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Ms. Miller. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Neely, I'm sure you heard that report a moment ago. To hear the environmentalists tell it, this is the worst thing you, your department, and the government of the Bahamas could have done in giving permission for the spaceship landings to resume. Dr. Neely, what assurances can you give in terms of environmental assessments that have been done in the span of just about a year and safety assessments to ease the tension and the fears and concerns of Bahamians?
So thank you, Shanique, again. Thank you for the question as well. I think it is very important for us to understand that there is a difference between the Falcon 9 exercises that have been approved for work in the Bahamas and what is different from the Starship or the Starlink exercise, the test flight that had that unfortunate blow up over Bahamian waters and over the Turks Island last year. So that was a test flight, and that was not something that needed approval from the governor of the Bahamas or something that received approval from the governor of the Bahamas to fly over. I think that it's important for us to understand that many spaceships, fighter jets, all kinds of things are flying over above Bahamian airspace, and there's a possibility that something like this can happen at any point in time, unless the ship or the vessel is flying in Bahamian airspace. Then we will not be necessarily contacted or requested to give approval. Now, that is much different from the Falcon 9 exercises that have been given clearance from the Bahamas government, various regulators, to re-enter in the Bahamian airspace as well as Bahamian waters off the coast of Exuma. And we would have had, even before this one last year, for review, several documents, extensive environmental documents, environmental baseline, environmental management plan. Prior to this one, you would have known that we would have had a break between the last exercise and what has been approved now. And so we went through a public consultation process, an environmental impact assessment. We learned our lesson with respect to some of the impacts from sound that we knew were coming, but we experienced differently. And so now we have environmental monitors from the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, as well as third parties that have been engaged to monitor, and scientists as well that have been engaged to represent and give information to us as a part of these exercises, so that we are collecting the information that we need, and that we're able to speak with authority on these matters if the opportunity presents itself moving forward.
Department, as well as independent sources, meaning third parties, conducted independent reviews of everything that's involved.
So yes, we have, like I said, officers from the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection that have been on island in Eleuthera and Cat Island since Sunday. We mandated SpaceX to engage with a Bahamian environmental consultant. So we have Braun that has been out there since last week. We have sound specialists and acoustic specialists that are also in country that will support the effort, so that we are able to track, especially these large mammals in their natural habitat, to ensure that we are not having a negative impact. So we've been collecting background data in the waters surrounding where the reentry is going to happen, and we'll be able to compare that pre-entry information to the post-entry information, so that we'll essentially start with our own study in this area.
Now, if you can again please explain for us, you said that what happened last year and that the debris that you and another guest brought here to this show from the spaceship that disintegrated, you said that's very different than what's been approved to begin and resume tomorrow.
Yes,
what
that is
sort of,
correct.
right, yeah, describe that sort of SpaceX ship that will be landing here versus what takes place elsewhere, but still can have an impact on Bahamas because it's still flying over and well above us?
So what we expect to re-enter into Bahamian airspace and into Bahamian territory is the booster for a payload. The payload will be carrying some satellites out into space. And so once the booster has given it essentially enough energy for it to make it out into orbit, the booster is going to detach and it will use GPS coordinates. There will be a barge that is going to be stationary, and the GPS coordinates essentially it's robotics. It will guide that booster back onto that barge, and that barge will be towed away and carried back to Cape Canaveral the following morning.
Now, you mentioned about the impact to sound and the impact of that in ocean for ocean life and the rest of it. But let's talk about environmental and safety concerns. What systems are presently in place and active to detect, let's say, pollution, soil, the air pollution, water pollution?
So, based on previous flights, it is not anticipated that there should be any perceptible pollution as a result of this activity. So the fuel, the booster has enough fuel on board to be able to for it to do it exactly what it needs to do, and then come back onto the barge. There isn't a lot of excess fuel on there. And so we are very careful with that to make sure that there is very little opportunity or chance for a mishap with respect to the fuel. And we don't anticipate that parts of the rocket ship are going to fall off. However, if in the event that there is a mishap, like I said, we have the entire area cordoned off. There have been notice to airmen and notice to mariners to reduce the potential for hazards to impact humans. And we understand essentially where all of the moving parts that will detach will fall, and those will be collected and removed from the country as well.
Yes, Dr. Neely, I know, of course, there is an agreement in place if there were to be, like, for example, last year, when immediately SpaceX officials came, and I think we even have a Bahamian who was doing multiple things in the industry as well, who was here in the Bahamas at the time. But let's just talk about accountability. In the event of environmental damage, who bears responsibility for the cleanup, and to quickly get those out of whether on the ground or in the ocean?
In the event that things do not go as planned during the re-entry activity, the onus is on SpaceX. We have signed international agreements that cover the Bahamas and that cover our environment. If there is a mishap, SpaceX or any operator that is operating over the Bahamas or in Bahamian territory, they would be responsible for any cleanup and they will be liable for any damages and restoration that would be as a result.
You mentioned Eleuthera and Cat Island. I know Exuma is really sort of the island pegged for this to happen. But if, and I hate saying if, because you've assured us, that systems are in place. But in terms of people finding debris and whatnot, are they encouraged to go and touch and try pick up, or just leave alone and just report it?
So, like I said, we do not expect for any debris to just fall as a result of this exercise. There are pieces of the rocket ship called fairings that will be guided down using a parachute. And like I said, those will be collected and removed from the country in addition to the booster in the hours after the re-entry exercise. What we have found from the pieces of debris that have washed up ashore so far, much of the debris is benign. These are inert pieces of the spaceship or the rocket ship, usually heating, so they are akin to insulation or insulation material. So I think I brought some on your show last year, and
Yes,
you
you
touched
did.
it, felt
Yes.
it, and and you saw that it was essentially insulation. That is much of what we expect if there is something that falls. Like I said, sometimes there are activities that happen outside of Bahamian airspace in this arena that we are not necessarily responsible for, and sometimes pieces of a rocket ship may have fallen outside of our jurisdiction, but the wave action would have brought it into our territory. And so that's what we're finding in most instances, that when people come up on the beach and they see some what we think is space debris, those are the circumstances surrounding how those got up on our shores or in Bahamian territory.
So you can safely say, Dr. Neely, as we wrap up, that the environmentalists a moment ago in that news story, you heard them talk about, listen, we need a nation that we can have around for the next 100 years and beyond. You can safely say that our food, which is in the water in terms of seafood and even vegetation, are not at risk as a result of potentially what can happen as it did last year.
Well, like I said, the accident that happened is not of the same ship that we have approved. That was a test flight, and they continue to conduct test flights over the Bahamas and over several jurisdictions across the world in their attempts to deploy and to do their work. But this Falcon 9 has been deployed and safely landed in several jurisdictions over 400 times, if I recall correctly. And so we're using that information as well as location-specific information in the Bahamas that we would have gathered ourselves as a department and as the local environmental consultants to guide the decisions that have been made. And at this point in time, should all go according to plan, the department is comfortable with the risk that there is going to be minimal to negligible negative impacts to our environment, save for the instant of the sonic boom. And even with that, we have instrumentation deployed at this moment to detect background noise. They will be back out again first thing in the morning, and of course during the event and after the event at different depths. We have hydrophones deployed so that we'll be able to detect the impact of the sound in the water, of course the impact of the sound in the air and across the land. And we will have individuals out conducting surveys as well, so that we can get an idea of a cross-section of Bahamians, what they experienced during this exercise, and so that we'll be able to gather our data and have science guide the policy decisions that we make moving forward.
Dr. Rihanna Neely, on tomorrow's SpaceX landing. Of course, it's resuming after about a year where her department took the time and paused the program to ensure that safety measures, whether it be sound affecting marine life, whether it be obviously the debris and all that, everything is as secured as possible as they can do it. And they conducted a lot of independent tests, she said, of their own and third party as well, to be able to come to their conclusions that it is safe to carry on and resume with tomorrow's SpaceX landing. Dr. Neely, I thank you very much for speaking with us this evening here on Beyond the Headlines. Thank you once again, and we will speak again very soon.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yes, ma'am, and you as well. Don't go anywhere. When I come back, the Hot Topics panel will weigh in on that and a lot more. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're back right after this.
Hey, it's time to lock in your vote.
Your vote is your power.
With the new boundaries in place, you may need to transfer or confirm your voter registration.
And if you have never registered or didn't plan to vote,
don't get left out on one of the most important decisions of your future.
Make sure when election day comes, you're ready to say,
your say, your vote, your choice.
Have you registered to vote? Join us February 18th, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at ILTV Studios on University Drive.
Hey, it's your boy Charlie Bahama here at Superwash, Superwash's newest spokes model, and I'm here to tell you about Superwash's large capacity washers and dryers. for all your big loads.
I know I see that Charlie banana coming here just now.
Uh-oh. Luckily, it's also big enough for me to hide it.
I thought he was right over here where these large capacity washer and dryers is. They're big enough now to handle your big loads, you know. Yeah, like your comfort on your blanket. But just look at us. Somebody forget to turn on the dryer. Oh, stop! Help! You hear something? Yeah, that's the sound of clean. Silverwash washes you, processes you, and entertains you 24/7.
Are you self-employed or have a small business that's looking for a faster, easier way to submit your C10 statements and pay NIB contributions? Sign up for the NIB C10 Easy Submit and Pay mobile app today. It's quick, secure, and takes just 5 simple steps. You will need a completed R1 business registration form and 2 forms of ID, a passport, voter's card, NIB card, or driver's license. Choose your role and enter your info, NI number, employer's NI number, name, and date of birth. Hit next. Enter your email, check your inbox for the code, then type it in to verify. Upload the R1 form and your 2 forms of ID and tap submit. Track your application anytime by tapping check status. Once approved, you'll get your confirmation and PIN by email within 24 to 72 hours. Return to the app, tap register now, set your login details and enter your final code. That's it. You're now ready to manage your NIB contributions anytime, anywhere. Self-employed persons, small business owners. Skip the line, save time. Download the NIB C10 Easy Submit and Pay mobile app today.
Very dry, tight, sensitive skin? Relieve it in 60 seconds with Aveeno Skin Relief. With soothing triple oat complex, clinically proven to heal and strengthen dry skin. Aveeno, your skin stronger.
Don't let diarrhea steal your sunshine. Imodium Multi-Symptom Relief gets to work fast in just 1 hour, offering our most complete relief from diarrhea, bloating, gas, and cramps. So you can get diarrhea off your mind. Imodium. Calm the chaos of diarrhea.
When you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song. Feel good, feel good. I feel good, 'cause your perfume isn't loud, and only I can talk about. Feel good, feel good. You feel like velvet rubbing over my skin, and when you're
It's a Holy Frosty Christmas, and Wendy's and Coke is bringing the chill. This year, when you upgrade any Wendy's combo to a large, you can instantly win big with the Upgrade and Win Christmas giveaway. We're talking travel gift cards, gadgets, holiday treats, and prizes that make your Holy Frosty Christmas shine. Just upgrade your favorite lunch combo. Scan the QR code on your receipt to enter and let the holiday magic begin. Enjoy great tasting food and win big this Christmas with Wendy's and Coca-Cola's Upgrade and Win. Rules and restrictions apply.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. It's good to have you all tuned in this evening. We're going to jump right in because we have a lot to get to in this segment. I'd like to welcome to the show this evening Beyond the Headlines contributors Leslie Miller, Ellington Ferguson, Howard Johnson. Good evening to you, gentlemen. It's good to have you all here.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Thank you for having me once again, you and my colleagues.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, Bahamas. Pleasure to be here.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, colleagues, and good evening, Bahamas.
Gentlemen, good evening to each of you. Let's jump right in. You all heard at the top of the show, we talked about the SpaceX Bahamas program or agreement resuming tomorrow. We see that SpaceX will resume its landing here. You all heard the report from Linton Ritchie and that the environmentalists were, you know, I mean, if you listen to them talk, you're like, whoa, why is the government even looking in this direction? Why resume with this program? Your thoughts, gentlemen, on what it is that the director of the Department of Physical Planning and Protection, Dr. Rihanna Neely, had to say about it, how independent studies and reviews have been done by her department, by third-party researchers and scientists, and all of it just to ensure that as minimum as possible, in fact none, but there is no damage to marine life and also to land and pollution.
Shanique, I think the Dr. Neely, she done a thorough job in explaining the whole operation, the whole process that took place. We know that when the government initially started this last year, they touted that they have put certain precautionary measures in place. But even when an accident took place that was not a part of this arrangement, they paused the whole deal and went over and refined all agreements, all precautionary and safety measures, just to make sure that we get it right. This is an imperfect world. We are all imperfect people. You cannot guarantee that there will not be a mishap. You can't guarantee it on the road that we drive on. You cannot guarantee it with the planes that we fly about in. You cannot guarantee nothing. But they went on above and beyond to ensure as best they can that we have safety. I think as we move forward in this world, and I'm happy that she did it, because when I try to explain to a lot of people, the last one that they had was successful, the one that we have the agreement with out of Cape Canaveral. The crash, again, let me reiterate it, that we saw happening across Bahamian airspace was something that was outside, was not a part of the agreement that we had. It is something that took place, was launched from all the way in Texas. That had nothing to do with the agreement that we had. It just happens that when it fall across our waters. What I'm trying to say is that if we say to Cape Canaveral, you can't do it, they'll be 50 miles away from us doing it. Okay, let's get a part of the world. These are the things that we are all involved in as it relates to technology and our advancement of technology and all that we're doing. We have a missile testing base in here.
Right in Andres.
For so many years, a missile testing base. Get that in your head. Hear that. A missile testing base.
Yeah.
So I am satisfied that they have done well in putting the precautionary measures in place. There's a potential for the Bahamas to benefit greatly from this. And I think we need to get in and play a part of it. And let's hope everything goes well.
Yeah, Shanique, when we do risk versus reward, I still am trying to figure out what it is that benefits us in terms of what the risks are. Okay. And I'm so glad that the good doctor demonstrated to us that her and the team, they are taking the necessary measures and precautions to make sure that we don't have any mishaps. And if any of them do happen, that the cleanup and that they're going to take care of it as quickly as possible. But I want to say something about SpaceX too. SpaceX is about to go public here in the United States, supposedly this year. It's going to be one of the biggest companies in the world, actually, when it does. You know, Elon Musk does everything big. And so I know that they've done all of their risk assessments and all of the things that they need to do to mitigate the risks that are associated. But there's one question that remains burning in the back of my mind, right? Because a lot of these big multinational corporations, they seek out places like the Bahamas, right? They do their due diligence, and they want to go to places like this so that if anything happens, you know, it happens out of the jurisdictions where they operate. But the United States owns the U.S. Virgin Islands. The United States owns the Guam. Why are they not landing these rockets and stuff in the territories that belong to them? Why do they need foreign offshore jurisdictions to take all of the risks associated with some of these landings and stuff? Because this is not a perfect science.
You know,
None is.
You know, God is good, you know. God has given us persons on the caliber of Dr. Neely, this young, beautiful Bahamian woman with a PhD in this area against armchair quarterbacks that are supposed to be experts. I'm so happy and proud of persons of her caliber to be representing us as a people. Because I know the hell I went through from 2002 to 2005 with these same people who said no to LNG.
Because it's bad for the ocean.
We could have had a reduction of 40% in our light bill. 20 years ago, it wasn't for them.
I remember that, Leslie.
They stormed the Bahamas. They called me every name in the book. Leslie's natural gas and everything else. And these are the same people who caused the Bahamian people to lose $1.2 billion over 20 years, over $1.2 billion over 20 years on a $15 million check for signing the agreement between AES, Florida Power and Light, and the government of the Bahamas on Ocean Key to Turkey Point, their main plant for supplying Florida with electricity. This same group, with no education, they go on the internet, on these sites and pick up all kind of garbage, and they become experts. They go to the press because they love the press, but they never ever attended a meeting when we brought the experts in. Some of my colleagues, Dr. Battle and us, we brought in experts, our own experts, and experts from Washington, D.C. and elsewhere, all with PhDs. They couldn't stand in the room with them because the garbage they was coming with made no damn sense. But the press still put it there, and some of them were this lighter color, and they're all experts, the dumbest jackasses you ever seen. But they became experts, and they caused us $1.2 billion.
I remember that fight.
So you think you can listen to those people? Correct. Listen, why would Dr. Neely want to risk the future of our country and our colleagues? Can't happen. The government won't allow it to happen. Listen to the experts instead of the armchair quarterbacks who are a bunch of jokes peddling garbage and getting publicity off it because they don't want it. You hear them saying now about LNG? It's now going to be one at Clifton, one out there on Araba Key. Ours was on Ocean Key. Ocean Key, I said. Now they got one surrounded by Lightfoot Key, Old Fort Bay, not a damn word. And then 2 on Bay Street. Not a word. And we done lost 1.2 billion. And you can listen, please, give us a break, man. God is good. God is good.
I tell you, it's quite interesting, Leslie, to see this all play out. And again, we don't wish for anything to happen, any mishap. And even some imposition to health and all the rest of it. But if it brings the Bahamas additional revenue that can somehow diversify this economy, then by all means, let's embrace it very obviously carefully. Meanwhile, gentlemen, let's move this along. The Progressive Liberal Party has hit the ground running, but the Free National Movement has still only ratified 39 of its expected 41 candidates for the upcoming general election. Free National Movement leader, well, you'll hear this in a minute, Leslie, what the holdup is. Michael Pintard is tonight alleging, listen very closely, Leslie Ellington Howard, that the government is victimizing the party's pick for the Michael constituency and essentially holding up the completion of the F&M's 2026 ticket and campaign launch.
What the hell is this all about?
We have one candidate that is a public servant that the government is threatening that they would lose their pension, even though they're on vacation now, they have accumulated a time, that they would lose their pension if at all they are on the front line and are ratified as a candidate. We believe the law states that they cannot nominate until such time. But this government, because they've done it before, to a Free National Movement candidate, despite the fact that the rule does not apply to their candidates, and we have examples of that. And so that's holding up the nomination of at least one person. And I want to make sure when I'm ratified that I safely deliver the next member of parliament for Michael at that time, and we'll have the 41 persons who will lead the country going forward.
Well, you all should know that the Royal Bahamas Police Force, I imagine maybe all the armed forces, but certainly the police force is governed by the Public Service Commission. Now, before I knew that bit of information, I reached out to the Public Service Minister to, listen, I need a response. Is the government trying to play politics with politics, you know, with this election season? Again,
Did they purchase one of the books?
Again, she said to me that does not come before her. It's not a matter. It's not a matter of the public service. And also that there would be no strong arming or intimidation or victimization tactics against anybody in the public service wanting to run. As Mr. Pintard pointed out, there were many who want to run. Perhaps some even were successful in their bid, and then. You know, we know what the rules are. Given the nomination is when you step aside, don't you?
Exactly.
Okay, well, Ellington, your thoughts about Mr. Because there's very serious allegations. I wasn't able to speak with the chairman of the public service, the area that the Public Service Commission. I was not able to speak with that individual. I certainly will continue to make attempts and try. But your thoughts on this, the fact that the leader of the opposition is alleging that the government is victimizing the person who's been identified as the front runner and candidate in Michael.
Well, again, this one sounds strange because the government have people from its side that went from a certain government.
But he said, well, here's what he said though. He said that this administration's candidates can do so, but not the F&M candidates.
I beg to differ. I think they need to, if they really want to step out, they need to step out and challenge the government on it. I cannot imagine that the government would blatantly play for their candidate one rule and another for the opposition. I can't imagine that. I think if they have a candidate that's willing to step out, they know the rules of the public service, step out with those things within the boundaries, do what you got to do. Once you're nominated, you know you have to resign, whatever it is, and let the chips fall where they may. Show the government up. If the government is doing something untoward, show them up. I challenge the leader of the Free National Movement. Take charge, demonstrate big leadership, and show the Progressive Liberal Party up if they're doing something untoward. Don't just talk about it. Let the public see what's happening.
Nick, when you want to get into this line of business and running for office, sometimes these are the sacrifices that you have to make.
Absolutely.
The gentleman, I knew his father well, was a great political mentor of mine. I'm sure that this gentleman is close to, I guess, getting his pension or right there to get his pension. But you're trying to go for public office, and when you're running for public office, you have to make sacrifices. When I ran for office in 2012. I was 1 year from completing my PhD. I had already done all of my classes. I had already defended my dissertation proposal, and I had already taken and successfully passed my qualifying exams. I had less than a year to go just to write my full dissertation, and I decided to go home to run for office. The second time, I left a great job and took almost all of my 401k money and came home throwing caution to the wind to go and run for office. These are some of the things that you have to do. Some of this gentleman's colleagues, like Jay Philippe, has already stepped aside from their government job. Jamal Moss is saying in the press that he is going to be doing something soon. So is the other gentleman in Pinewood. And so, this,
Jamal Moss hasn't officially stepped away as yet?
No, not yet. No, but I don't think so. But when they ratified him, he was saying that something was in motion. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to make sacrifices. And if the gentleman is that concerned that this is going to impact the rest of his life as far as his retirement and pension is concerned, then Mr. Pintard, you guys have to provide next man or next woman up to replace him.
These claims are so outrageous and so ridiculous. It was in 1982 when I was approached by the Right Honorable Prime Minister on the Honorable Arthur Hanna to become a candidate in the Blue Hills constituency against the Honorable Arthur Folks. I was then working for the Bahamas Development Corporation from 1974 onward. I was an executive in that ministry, in that corporation, in marketing. And I was told, quite frankly, that once you accept and you are a ratified candidate as a part of the team, you'll have to demit office. That's the simplest thing that everyone who's ever been involved in politics does every single election cycle. What is so different about this? And it's an absolute lie that if you go and run and you have a year left for you to get your pension, you can get your pension. That's so outrageous. I mean, please, family, you got to come better than this, man. Please, you got to. I realize pressure's on you, but you got to come better than this, because these things are so outrageous. Nobody's going to believe you. So the man knows that he can retire. His pension is going to be the same if he served over 30 years or 20 years or 25 years. That's how it works. And his last salary is what they will pay him on.
Based on.
I made the dumb mistake when I decided in 2012 that I wasn't going to go in cabinet anymore. Had I run, in fact, had I asked the Right Honorable Prime Minister Christie just to make me minister without portfolio in the last year of our governance, my salary would have doubled. My pension. I didn't do it. But that's the decision I made. But don't say that you would be penalized by the government institution that has FNMs and PLP. That is so outrageous. You really should apologize for that. Honest to God. You really should apologize.
So you're saying, Leslie, it does not work that way?
Can't happen. I mean, come on. Who do you know? Department Secretary is FNM or PLP? The system is FNM or PLP? The system is the system.
The system is the system.
Certain policies and laws is put in place to
Come
govern
on.
the
And
system.
if he's put in those years,
Cause-
he is entitled to what he's worked, huh?
Come better than this, man. You from Ragged Island, we expect more. Please. To let the people know that we this crazy, man.
We this crazy.
Gentlemen, the Progressive Liberal Party officially on the campaign trail after their candidates and party supporters received marching orders last night, and their rally-style meeting last night inflaming the political question. Can they repeat? Jose Etienne picks up the story from here, and then we come back and talk about it.
I don't know about you, but it's too straight for the Progressive Liberal Party, PLP!
The wheels of the political machinery is turning tonight as the governing Progressive Liberal Party's re-election bid has officially launched. The Bahama Ballroom resembled an ocean of shimmering blue and gold as party delegates answered the clarion call from their leader for their campaign launch. Prime Minister Philip Davis and his team members say their campaign hinges on a central and simple theme: progress.
We turn a downgrade into an upgrade. We revitalize our economy with new jobs and investments. We strengthen partnerships to protect our borders.
Party candidate Sebastian says progress has a lot to do with continuity that he says remains its iron spine.
It frees us from the mindset, small political mindset, that measures success in 5-year increments. It reminds us of a deeper truth, that national prosperity has no finish line and progress is perpetual.
But aside from officials patting themselves on the shoulder for the task they were able to check off their to-do list this term, the electorate wants to know what's next. What would be priority if granted a consecutive second term?
The next 5 years is Chapter 2. And Chapter 2 is about ownership.
And speaking of ownership, officials are leveraging their land reform agenda as proof in the pudding that a PLP administration is serious about Bahamians having their own.
We've resolved historic land title issues and taken action to regularize ownership for hundreds of Bahamians, families in Fox Hill, Moores Island, and other communities. Over 120 affordable homes were built throughout the Bahamas, with dozens more under construction.
But the campaign launch was more than a self-serving spectacle. Economic Affairs Minister and party candidate Michael Alkitis gave a sobering message.
We cannot declare victory right now. Many Bahamians still feel the pressure of high prices. Economic statistics improving does not automatically mean every family feels relief. And we as a government must never become complacent simply because indicators move in the right direction.
And in case you were wondering, the night was still rife with political jabs being thrown at the Free National Movement.
After telling the Bahamians they were against VAT altogether, they left all that talk in the dust and raised VAT the first chance they got. They're a party of cancellation. We're a party of completion.
Candidates have already been mobilized in their various constituencies. What residents are now waiting for is the day when election will be called. Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
Well, gentlemen, of course, the internet discussed that that last evening all day today. I know you all can pick on something that perhaps stood out for you. That event happened at the Bahama Convention Center. Your thoughts on this sort of report to the nation and the way that the Progressive Liberal Party last evening decided that they would present their report card to the nation and as they made a case for a second term?
Well, Shanique, we saw the launch of their campaign, and you saw each members had, or many of the members had an opportunity to make a short speech as it relates to some of the things that the party has done, the government has done over this last 4 years to try and better the country, to better advance the lives of Bahamians. I think they made, many of them, they touched on many stuff. They made their point, they made an attempt to sell. I think what they alluded to is that this is what I think Prime Minister said, that you're going to hear more of these as we go into the campaign trail. These were more like headers on last evening. They touched on a number of areas. Unfortunately, I didn't hear them touch on immigration, but I think they pretty well highlighted a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and they were able to excite their base. I can say that for the most part, and we look forward to see what's happening coming out of the Easter Lent season.
PLP did an excellent job of their presentation last night and rolled out of their candidates. Mr. Davis and team, they touted their accomplishments over the past 4.5 years, and they laid out the case for why they should be re-elected and govern the Bahamas for the next 5. However, as Michael Alkides indicated, it is still not without challenges. And no matter who's the government of the Bahamas, everybody doesn't feel the goodness, so to speak. And so there is still out there lingering the immigration problem. There is still out there lingering VAT on medicine. There is still out there lingering the water and electricity issues and woes in my beloved Eleuthera. There's still out there lingering the issue in Grand Bahama. And I believe that the PLP has the right to tout its accomplishments and talk about what they've done. They've done some things extremely well, but I believe that the potential Achilles heel for the PLP is Grand Bahama. They have to get something going in Grand Bahama before Mr. Davis calls this next general election. And I don't want Mr. Davis to believe that the rhetoric can keep on going, because if you keep going to Grand Bahama talking, you might as well just start whatever you say with once upon a time. And Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, I'm telling you, sir, y'all have to get something together, because every time you show up in Freeport and open your mouth, you sound like Anton Swing, the satirical character that Sawyer Boy created. So let's get something done. You have to get something done if you're going to win the next election with this Grand Bahama economy.
You know what amazes me about last night? I've never seen a more enthusiastic group of persons since the time of the late great Sir Lyndon Oscar Pilling. The crowd was a dynamic crowd. People were there from all walks of life. The gathering itself inside the big salon was full. On the outside, packed. In the front of the hotel, the same thing. I've never seen that enthusiasm. I know the Right Honourable Philip Davis had to been a happy man last night, and I'm sure he's smiling all day today. But as Mike said, there's still a lot of work left to be done. I believe that the government challenge now over the next few months is to get their candidates to spread the word, to give an account of their stewardship over the last 4.5 years. Many did a good job. Some didn't do too good a job. And the outcome will be telling on the night of the election. From my outlook on being around for so long to all those conventions, I think Mr. Davis has an excellent chance of being re-elected as a second term, and he and Mr. Ingram would be the first two candidates, except the exception of Sir Lyndon, who did it 9 times in a row, to repeat. His government has a lot of work to be done. I think they need to put more effort into the diversification and expansion of our economy. I noticed the buzzword was ownership, but you know, you can't have ownership unless you have support from all of y'all and expected central government, and the ministries and all the corporations and departments. It's not lip service, you have to do it. That's what President Trump is doing in the United States. Everything is buy American, buy American. And that's why I put those tires so high. You all got to sit down and make up your mind if you're going to support local industry. If you're really going to put Bahamians in business, let you get the development bank to loan people money, and then the same entities that you control through government run the people out of business. I've seen too many failures over the last 40 years. You need to come with a vision that's going to work for the average ordinary Bahamian who wish to become an entrepreneur. These last 4.5 years left a lot to be I'm proud of. I can tell you that, my own personal experience. The one person you can depend on for Bahamianization and trying to get entrepreneurs is Philip Brave Davis. He supports local industry and local entrepreneurs more than the rest of y'all combined. So step to the plate. I look forward to being on their vision.
When we come back, there is a second meeting planned for Exuma this week, that's right, Thursday evening, to discuss, you get it, and you guessed it, the Rosewood project. That project is still hanging in the balance. Beyond the Headlines is back right after this.
Every great idea starts with courage. Every successful business starts with belief.
And every woman deserves the opportunity to turn her vision into reality. The Fox Foundation Women Entrepreneurship Initiative is back, bigger, bolder, and more powerful than ever. This year, Give to Gain honors women who gave their very best, their time, their talent, their sacrifice, and their vision to succeed in innovation-driven and emerging industries.
This initiative is about investing in women who are ready to lead, build, and grow. It's about creating a real pathway to success in a new era of business.
This year's program features 2 dynamic panel discussions designed to inspire action at every level. This year also features a distinguished international speaker, bringing global insight, helping to empower women to think bigger and lead boldly.
We're proud to grant over $75,000 in funding to emerging businesses and aspiring entrepreneurs ready to take the next step. If you have an idea, a business, or a dream worth building, now is the time.
Grant applications are open until February 28th. This is more than just an event. It is a powerful networking experience.
Surround yourself with women who means business.
Join us as we give to gain.
Give your best, build what's next, and gain what matters.
Okay guys, this is what we doing today. We training for the bounce back. This $150K payday. Y'all ready? Yes. Y'all sweating today. Give me a 2 ball. 10. Give me another 2 ball. 15. You spin, right? It don't look so. It's 10K. Name these games after me. Fruit Dragon.
Fruit Dragon.
Cinema Classic.
Cinema Classic.
Yeah. Put that parlay in. Put that in. You know, Jalen Bronson disappointed us last time. You want to walk for this or you want to run for this? Good pace. Good pace. Not too much water. Put it down. Let's go.
It's the Bounce Back 150K payday. Big wins for 10 weeks straight. 15K every week. 10K to a lucky winner. Visit islandluck.com for more info. Island Luck. Winners live here. segment is brought to you by EV Motors Fleet Sales Division. For 2026 commercial vehicles, call 821-2403 today.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We're going to shift gears. We had so much to get to, but I'm telling you, I promise to bring some stuff back and keep them in the can for this week. So we will get to them this week. But listen, there is a second town hall meeting set for the island of Exuma later this week, on Thursday evening, in fact. The meeting is to discuss the Rosewood project, that $200 million project that's set for Samsung Key in Exuma. It's a key, of course, that is in the area of Black Point, Farmers Key, and Staniel Key. And the residents there are looking forward to what this will bring, the opportunities, the spin-off opportunities in terms of business and investment, and then, of course, employment. But it's all at a standstill. What's making it be at a standstill? Well, you all know the standoff that's happening. The standoff that's going on, gentlemen, in terms of the project. What is the name of that project? The project that's there on the same key, and a billionaire investor who's been on the island of Exuma for quite some time, and is just standing in the way. One court injunction after the other. However, the Rosewood principal, you all have met him on the show several times now, Felipe McLean, continues to move forward undeterred. This man has a heart for the people of Exuma, for all those keys. He's made countless investments. And guess what he's doing now? McLean is in the middle of a project necessary to get the community center, something that started years ago, but just sat there, just unfinished. Well, he's completing the work to bring about the community center on Black Point, the key there with the largest population. And so he's, gentlemen, ensuring that the kids, families, and everyone have somewhere that they can be happy of to go and do homework, computer lessons, and whatever after-school projects and events, of course, that they can have that on the island of Exuma. This man is intent on making that kind of investment into the lives of people, families, and communities there. But yet again, though, he continues to, since last year, ground was broken, yet not one block has been laid as yet because of a court injunction. Ellington, you have heard me talk, you and Howard, about Rosewood now for quite some time. Leslie, you as well. We all will speak about it. But your thoughts, Ellington, about having this stand there and sit there with nothing happening. Meanwhile, residents are calling for something to move so that they can get their lives moving forward in a great direction.
We've got to be careful of this. And just as you mentioned, this person who is said to have been there, this investor all the time, he couldn't even see that this community center needs to be done. But he could prevent something else.
No investment into the people.
He couldn't see that. My thing is we got to be careful. We got to be careful with creating these ports or almost creating another port authority in Exuma. You cannot allow, our government must govern, our systems that decides on these projects must govern for the Bahamian people and not for special interests. Whatever this person have, they cannot have Exuma. You're not exclusive. You cannot have Exuma or any other island of the Bahamas exclusively for yourself. If there's a project that meets all of the government's requirements and its standards, I think the government and the people supports it in the community welcomes it. I think the government should do what it have to do and not allow investors to continue to strangle other investment because they want to secure themselves. I think no, we cannot have that, and we are to govern accordingly for the island, for the development and the betterment of the people of the Bahamas, and not particularly for no one special interest investor. I does not support it, and I think we need to let this project go on.
It's been hanging in the balance for too long.
Back and forth.
And one story, Howard, after the next. It's been reported recently that the other investor there built structures on Samsung Key without the Ministry of Works knowledge or approval.
Took care of one of the fellas.
And then said, when you're building at a certain sort of capacity, I guess, you don't need the necessary approvals. Well, tell that to somebody trying to erect a wall.
Ah, boy, things you can get away with.
Yeah, so Shanique, I'll tell you this. there are several things I like about Mr. McLean and his posture, and in the face of all of the negativity that's been thrown at him regarding this project. When there was complaints about the dock, I believe it was, he decided to go back to the drawing board. This man has never been afraid to stand up to the scrutiny from the community, from the environmentalists,
Exactly.
any questions from anywhere and anybody. He has been willing to show up and to listen, not only to defend the project, but to listen and make changes that are needed.
Yes.
He is intent on making sure that he does nothing to hurt this community and these people. And he is showing that, and demonstrating, he is totally demonstrating that he cares about this community. Mr. McLean could have packed up everything and gone, He could have gone to some other jurisdiction right now and say, you know what, I may have an easier time somewhere else. I believe this man's heart is in the right place. He wants to be in the Bahamas. He wants to be in the Exumas. And he is demonstrating day in and day out that he is willing to do what it takes to make sure this project is above board. And I just want him to continue to do the great work that he is doing outside of his project to benefit the local communities, to benefit the island of Exuma, and by extension the nation. Continue to do that when the project is already concluded, when it's already approved, and when he's up and running. Continue to do that good work, because that's what's most important.
I find it insulting and incredible that the government of the Bahamas, through its agency, which is the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of the Environment, you have a bona fide investment group with assets exceeding $3 billion in capital. And for the last several years, they've been running around like school children, because one of the big guys who were there decided that he's the king of the island. Why the hell he didn't buy the whole island one time then? You don't want any neighbors, so go get someplace by yourself. It's time this project come to fruition. The neighbors be able to benefit from what is on their island, what they're entitled to. The other guy was there for years, never put up anything, never made no contribution to the welfare and the lives of the average, ordinary Exumian. And someone is now subject to do so, and they're still being frustrated. It has to stop. I beg the government, stop it. Get the show on and get more investments in our country of the caliber that is being offered to us now. If they are successful, others are going to follow. They're not going to follow if one man is on the island saying, you can't come, you can't come, you can't come. I'm the only big dog on the island. Come on, man, we can do better than this. Get it done.
Absolutely. And, just before we wrap up, the Save the Exuma Alliance, a group that was recently formed, is charging Rosewood of not respecting the consultative process. That's a joke. That's a joke considering everything that Felipe McLean and his group have done, more and beyond, above and beyond what was necessary. But listen, we're gonna keep this right here this week. We're gonna focus on this again later in the week, and we're gonna bring it up and push and help push this forward.
Because get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
gotta get it done.
Absolutely, because it is just stunning to see this dragging on. Meanwhile, the turtle grass people are sitting there just very happy, strumming their fingers on the table and sipping coffee.
That's the same crew with this crew with the SpaceX. Armchair quarterbacks.
Very interesting. Listen, gentlemen, I thank you all so much. Leslie Miller, Ellington Ferguson, Howard Johnson, thank you so much. Of course, to Dr. Rihanna Neely, who our eyes will be trained tomorrow on that SpaceX landing. Dr. Neely, thank you very much for stopping by this evening. And a huge thank you to all of you for tuning in, and some of you messaging as well. Thank you so much for those messages and for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.
Please drive careful.